You know the vibes. Welcome back to another episode of the Hoop Genius podcast brought to you by NBA 2K23. BJ Armstrong, real name, no gimmicks, and your boy Mo Mootsie. We're here once again. Talk more NBA. We missed an episode yesterday. We apologize for missing the episode. I was up in Liverpool. If you're watching on video, you might be able to see the little jersey I got going on. The LeBron collaboration continues. Liverpool FC kindly invited me to the game. I felt like BJ Armstrong because they had me in the executive box. I felt like a real boss. Then it gets better. They take me down to the pitch, like right courtside in basketball terms, but pitch side, as the players are warming up. And guess who's standing next to me, BJ? You will never guess who was standing next to me. Guess
LeBron James. James.
Obviously not, because he's in LA. And if he came over, the Lakers would have a meltdown. But it was someone who is arguably just as famous, or almost just as famous as LeBron James. Maybe worldwide more famous than LeBron. None other than Will Ferrell himself. I have no idea why he was in Liverpool watching a football match, but it was great to see Will, and he was there and he was loving it. So we had a great time at the game, and it was a great experience. But then came back home today, and it was Valentine's Day. So BJ, I'm not going to ask for your plans for Valentine's Day. You can keep that private.
But sure, there's nothing private over here.
Spit some game for the young G's.
You're on the pod, when you're on the
game
pod,
for the young G's. How are you treating your lady on Valentine's Day? Then,
well, you know, how am I treating my wife? Well, every day is Valentine's Day in the Armstrong household. Every day,
smooth.
Every day, you know, it can't be just one day. You know, I every day. You know, how am I treated? It's just, you know, just another day. Well, I can't say things and not execute them. Like, it's all love.
I hear it.
Like, you know, a lot of people say things, but Mo, here it's all love.
It's all love all the time.
It's all love. So yeah, you know, it's always Valentine's Day. You know, it's every day is a good day. You just got to find it. You got to find it.
Yeah, man. Shout out to everyone who celebrated and enjoyed that day. If you didn't enjoy your day and you were alone on Valentine's Day, I'm going to shamelessly plug my newsletter, because I did drop an article on the newsletter, and it is a very exclusive article only for the paying subscribers who can read this one. And that's all I'm going to say about that, because it might be the best one I've written so far this week. And check that out. You're going to have to check that out, and you can subscribe through the link in the podcast description. But speaking of Valentine's Day, BJ Armstrong, love is in the air, Valentine's Day. My question to you is, name the one player in the NBA who made you fall in love with basketball. Because you get
one player.
You get players that you're like, oh wow, that's cool. But who's the one player that made you watch them and then you became obsessed because you're like, I've got to play like him, or I want to go up against him? Who's the one player that made you fall in love with the NBA and basketball in general?
Well, you know, I was introduced, and it's kind of odd, you know, Mo. I think I don't think this is normal behavior. Like, I don't think my childhood and how I looked at the game is normal. Okay, because as a child, I didn't look up to any of those guys, and the reason being, Mo, I was a different guy. I was just talking to my parents about this the other day. And he was asking me, it doesn't matter who it was. It was growing up in Detroit, we didn't have the wherewithal to like go to like games, but go to an NBA game. But when we did go to a game, maybe once or twice a year, which was a big deal for us, you know, we would sit way up. And one time there was a famous NBA player who we shall not name.
Okay.
And my mom and dad, we were just talking about this the other day. They said, hey, BJ, let's go down and get his autograph. And according to my parents, I was like 8 years old. And I said, no. Because one day I'm going to play against that guy.
I love that.
And my parents were like, no, son, it doesn't work that way.
I love the way they start with no.
no, son. Let's, we spent good money to come here.
Yeah.
We have an opportunity. It'll make it special. And I was adamant about not getting this player's autograph because one day I'm going to play against this player. And we were just laughing about that. And, I wasn't impressed. I didn't respect it. I respected the pros because I was around the pro, like Dave Bing and Isaiah Thomas and these guys. Like I saw these guys play. They
in the
weren't like
summertime or
yes,
out in Detroit.
Yes. So this wasn't like, wow. This was something like in the summertime, everyone came back to play. Magic Johnson, Greg Kelser, all of these guys, Terry Tyler, Terry Durod, John Long, the list goes on and on of Detroit players who played in the NBA. And I could go to this gym called St. Cecilia. The Pistons this year wore green uniforms in honor of St. Cecilia.
Yep.
And everyone who grew up in Detroit, that's where we all play. Every professional player played there. You didn't come up and didn't play there. So I didn't feel, I was just talking to him about it. I didn't have a normal, like, this player was a fan. Like, Mo, I missed that part of my life, for better or for worse.
I hear you.
Okay. So I was introduced to the game by my father. I had my first coach, if you will, or my first mentor was a gentleman by the name of the late Sam Washington, who ran the St. Cecilia gym. He saw all the pros from Spencer Haywood to Jimmy Walker, Bob Lemire, Dave Bean, every George Gervin, every Detroit player who played in the NBA came there. And I happened to have been mentored by him. I happened to go to his basketball camp. So I had this idea from a very young age that it was attainable for me and that all I had to do was to perfect my craft, what it is I do.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if that was right or wrong.
But it worked out for you. I mean, it did work.
It worked out. It worked for me. So my introduction and respect for the game, I maintained that. And I maintained my confidence to be able to take it and play against here. So when I played in the NBA or I never was in awe because I learned the game. I just learned about the fundamentals of the game. Like I never, ever wanted to, I saw player X, for instance. I never said I wanted to be that guy. So I learned the game to say, if you can master the fundamentals, the game, you can do whatever you want to do with the game. And once I learned the fundamentals, then I saw your style. Because how many ways can you dribble going left, Mo?
Yeah.
How many ways can you dribble going right?
Yep.
There's only so many ways you can change directions. So I didn't say I want to have a crossover like player X. I just wanted to know what was possible for a player to go from left to right and to figure out in every way he could do it so that I could react or whatever it is I could do. And I always try to be true to the game. And for better or for worse, Mo, I learned and I tried to perfect the fundamentals of the game. And I maintained that throughout my playing career. And look, it takes a certain level of talent to play this game, physical talent to play. And some players are more physically blessed than others, right? With whether it's speed and quickness, size, strength, or whatever it is your advantage may be. But as far as the fundamentals of the game, doing everything that needed to be done, I tried to concentrate on those things. So if there's someone who taught me the game, it was the fundamentals. And when I see the game today, that's why I always say, players will say, well, the game has changed. Okay, that's great. Sounds good. Looks good. The fundamentals never change.
Yep, I hear it. So
a chest pass is a chest pass. A bounce pass is a bounce pass. So, so the game itself is probably what I respect most. And I respect the people who respect the game just as much as I tried to give it. I try to say that's the game is the most precious. And then all of the players who play the game, hopefully you'll respect the game. And if you respect the game will respect you back.
So for me, growing up in the UK, when I first discovered the NBA, it was, the Shaqs, the Kobes, the Michael Jordans, but we didn't have that same kind of coaching or the same NBA players playing in the summertime. So I really had to teach myself how to hoop. So I looked at a little bit of everyone. I was trying to, I was trying to handle the ball a little bit like Steve Nash because he's coming from like a football background, soccer, as you will. I'm trying to get that little quick crossover, those little assists that he can throw. I was trying to shoot the ball like Paul Pierce. BJ, if you saw my jump shot when I was a kid, you would have hated it. My legs were so wide as a base because I was trying to shoot like Paul Pierce. And then as I got older, I refined it and obviously had coaching and stuff like that. I was trying to copy Hakeem Olajuwon's footwork, right? But the player that made me really fall in love with basketball was Kevin Garnett because it wasn't just the basketball side of it. It was just his intensity every time he went out there on the court to be the best he could possibly be. Like every single possession, going hard in every single thing that he did. I think that kind of I applied to life. So even now, doing what we do in the media, I try and go hard with everything that I do. So, I know you got the story about not having an autograph because you want to play against those guys one day. For me right now, it's the same in that I've been around the NBA Larry O'Brien trophy thousands of times in my life now, from being blessed to do what we do, being at the finals and whatnot. But I've never touched it, and I never will touch it until I win it as a general manager or executive or even an owner if we get enough subscribers on this podcast to make enough money. So that's my little superstition. But that's a nice little wholesome story. But we've got All-Star Weekend coming up, B. I want to talk a little bit about All-Star Weekend. I want to talk a little bit about this because there's All-Star, you got the Rookie Challenge, you got All-Star Saturday night, and you got the All-Star game on the Sunday night. And we'll talk about the other events, but today I want to focus on Saturday night, right? Because they have just announced who's participating in the different events. So we're going to go straight in with the 3-point contest, as you were an elite 3-point shooter. Here are the players taking part in this year's 3-point contest. We've got Tyrese Halliburton of the Indiana Pacers. We've got Tyler Herro of the Miami Heat. We've got Buddy Hield, also of the Indiana Pacers. We've got Kevin Huerter of the Sacramento Kings. We've got Damian Lillard of the Portland Trail Blazers. We've got Lauri Markkanen of the Utah Jazz. We've got Anthony Simons of the Portland Trail Blazers. And of course, Jason Tatum of the Boston Celtics. Now, right off the bat, Mr. BJ Armstrong, who is your pick to win the 3-point contest? Obviously, these things are impossible to predict, but if you were a betting man and you had to place a bet, Halliburton, Herro, Hield, Huerter, Lillard, Markkanen, Simmons, whatever you want to call him, Tatum, who is going to win?
If I heard all the names correctly, and the guy who I think is going to shoot the best off that rack, because it's not like shooting like in a game. And that's what I learned, when you play that. Some people have a natural rhythm. I think Buddy Hield probably has the best rhythm to come off the rack.
Yep.
It's not, to me, truthfully speaking, again, shooting when someone passes you the ball is totally different than shooting off of a rack, right?
Yep.
A lot of times you got to...
And shooting off the dribble is very different to shooting off the rack. Like, you got to think about Jason Tatum. Most of his shots are coming off a dribble, sidestep move.
Yeah. So you're shooting in a rhythm. Shooting in half court is different than shooting full court. Getting the pass from an offensive rebound where you can see the rim for an extended amount of time. So there's a lot of things that goes into it. However, shooting from a standstill off the rack and the ball is to the side of you, right? Normally you catch it like in the pocket. So I think Buddy Hield probably has the least amount of movement out of all of these players to just find a rhythm. Now, I don't know if he's going to come off the right side or the left side or what have you, but there's a definite rhythm that you got to figure it out. I never was fortunate enough to figure it out, right? Sometimes you figure it out, or sometimes you may just get hot. You know what I mean? Like, because you got to get hot. You could be a great shooter, but this is a different shot. And if you get hot and catch a rhythm, you might just catch a rhythm because you got to do this for, I think it's like 3 rounds. You got to do it for like 3 rounds. You got to advance. You know what I mean? And so if you're asking me just on the rhythm alone, knowing the little bit I know about it, and I've played with a few guys who've won the thing, and I've been fortunate enough to participate in it, you got to catch this rhythm. I think Buddy Hield will be the guy that is most poised. But again, who knows? But I think he probably has the best chance. I think he's won it before, if I remember correctly.
So these are the rules for this year's competition. It is going to be the basketballs is going to be positioned at the 5 main shooting locations on the 3-point arc. 4 of the racks contain 4 official NBA game balls and 1 multicolored money ball. The NBA game ball is worth 1 point, and the multicolored money ball is worth 2 points. And each rack, the multicolored money ball, can only be shot after the 4 orange balls are shot. The 5th rack, the competitors can decide which one is going to be all money balls. So you might have that first, you might have that last, you might have it somewhere in the middle from your favorite spot on the court. So there's that. But then here's the twist. 2 ball pedestals are positioned at Starry Range, because Starry is the sponsor of this. I don't know what they are, but maybe a cleaning company, because it's an orange and lime in their logo. But there's 2 deep shot locations between rack 2 and 3 and the others between rack 3 and 4. Each star ball pedestal holds 1 special white starry ball, and shots made with the white ball are worth 3 points. So by having a really deep 3 and 2 of them basically worth 6 points, makes me lean towards Damian Lillard, because obviously he's one of the best long-range shooters in the NBA. Steph Curry is not going to be competing. So Dame getting those extra 6 points, I think could be great. But Buddy Hield was my pick too, because I think he's capable for making it from that range. I mentioned Jason Tatum's favoring coming off the dribble, but I have been in the gym and seen him shoot like 33 pointers in a row without missing. So that is worth bearing in mind. But I also feel like someone like a Kevin Huerter, who's got a very, what's the word? Consistent form. He's very consistent with it. I think any of them are capable of winning. I don't know about Tyrese Halliburton, because his form is a little bit awkward sometimes, and it's a little bit of a slower release at times. But it's going to be interesting. If there was an all-time 3-point shootout of every player who's played in the NBA, I would pick Larry Bird to win it because of what he's done in the 3-point shootout previously. But do you think there's anyone who could beat Larry Bird in a 3-point contest?
Yeah, I think there are a bunch of guys that could beat Larry Bird. And the reason being is, again, you got to get hot, right? Yeah, I mean, it's...
I mean, Larry got hot without taking off his warm-up jacket one year.
Okay, that's fine. But that's why they call it a warm-up jacket. It's a jacket made to warm up in. That's all it is. Mm-hmm. It's not like okay, I'm not impressed. That was a flex, though. That was a flex. Just walking in. Okay.
I'm not even getting ready for this. Fine. I'm going to just win.
Okay, that's fine. Okay, that's great. I get it. However, I play with a pretty good shooter, Craig Hodges. I think he won a couple of these. Trent Tucker, Chris Mullin, Steve Kerr, if I remember, he won it. I mean, there's so many phenomenal shooters. I mean, listen, I think Steph Curry has as good a chance as any, I mean, I think he's won it, So, I think there are people who can win it. It's just a matter of getting hot at the right particular time. And look, Larry, if you're talking game, Larry, if you're saying a 3-point shot in a game, you take Larry. But when you're talking about a contest, anybody can get hot. I mean, you and I could get hot at the right time. I mean, it's just for whatever the reason. But I mean, that's a good choice. I mean, Larry is, Larry Legend is Larry Legend, but those other guys aren't bad. Mark Price, and I'm just thinking of guys that, that could play. I mean, there were so many phenomenal shooters, not at the volume that they're shooting now, but there are some guys out there who can really put that ball in the basket. And, if Steph Curry in a shooting contest was against Larry Bird, I mean, who you gonna pick? I mean, this guy can shoot a little bit. I mean, give this guy credit. I mean,
just a little bit, just a little
or
bit.
Not. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Warm up jacket or not. Craig Hodges. I think he won the contest one year, and he wasn't even signed to a team in the NBA. I mean, you know what I mean? Like, these guys can really shoot. There's a lot of great shooters. Reggie Miller could really shoot that basketball. Ray Allen, he could shoot that thing.
Yep.
So, that would be fun, but it's different playing in the game.
Okay. Well, the NBA All-Star Saturday Night tips off with the Skills Challenge. And for the Skills Challenge this year, there are 3 teams. There's Team Antetokounmpo, which features Giannis, Thanasis, and Alex. There's Team Jazz, because obviously Utah are the host city. They've got Jordan Clarkson, Walker Kessler, and Colin Sexton. And there's Team Rooks, which is 3 of the rookies, Paolo Banchero, Jaden Ivey, and Jabari Smith Jr. Now, let me break down the format of the challenge. There are 3 different rounds. Round 1 is a team relay, similar to things that you've seen in the skill challenge before, going up and down the court. Round number 2 is team passing. And round number 3 is team shooting. And if there's a tiebreaker, there will be a half-court shot. BJ, it's kind of an ambiguous rule set there, but who do you think is going to win?
I'm just going to pick the home team. Just Utah Jazz.
Okay.
Yeah, they'll get the biggest roar. So I'm going to say the Jazz.
I'm gonna go with the Antetokounmpos because they've done this before last year, so they've got the experience.
We know they're going to try. Well, that's for sure.
They go
at least
hard.
Some of the guys, yeah, they're going to go hard.
They go.
So, you know, that's a good choice. That's a good choice.
The rookies,
I hope they do win it.
You know, after Scotty Barnes and those guys did it last year and kind of had a really bad time making wide open jump shots, that has put me off from picking the rookies to win it. But now the main event that everyone looks forward to on All-Star Saturday night, and that is the slam dunk contest. BJ, there are 4 players who will be in the slam dunk contest. Mac McClung, who signed with the Philadelphia 76ers today, will be going up against KJ Martin, Kenyon Martin Jr. from the Houston Rockets. Also, Trey Murphy III of the New Orleans Pelicans, and Jericho Sims of the New York Knicks, who Ja Morant tweeted he wanted to see in the dunk contest. Which of those guys stands out to you?
I'm going to say Kenyon Martin. I mean, you know, it's not fair for these guys, you know, because I mean, that was probably a golden era, right? Where actually that was kind of the event that everyone kind of waited for, you know?
Yeah.
There was some amazing participants. And it's no disrespect to any of these guys that are currently participating because, you know, these guys are great in their own right. I want to say Kenyon Martin just because, you know, I'm probably most familiar with him.
Yeah.
Dunking. So, you know, but we'll see. I think if you're asking me today, I'm going to go with Kenyon Martin Jr.
Okay. He can jump out of gym. There's no doubt about that. He has an insane vertical leap. But so does Jericho Sims, but it's harder for big men to win the dunk contest. Trey Murphy III is an intriguing one, but he's representing the Pelicans, and everyone wants to see Zion doing this instead. Mac McClung intrigues me. He's only 6'2". And if you look at Mac McClung, you would never expect a guy like him to be in a dunk contest. So for a casual fan who aren't aware of the hops, I think they'll be really impressed by what he does. So I think Mac McClung could actually go out there and win this thing. BJ, all-time dunk contest. Not who you think would win, but give me the 4 names of all players all-time who you'd want to see in the contest.
Oh, wow. It's so many. God, well, you nailed it 4. Okay, so there's no dunk contest without Dr. J. Okay, so you got to have the dunk.
The OG.
Yeah. You got to have Jordan in there just for the creativity. You got to have Neek just for the, I mean, it was like he dunked so violent. You
Dominique
know,
Wilkins, the human highlight machine.
Yeah, you got to have Neek. And you got to have Vince Carter. I mean,
VC, yep.
VC is pretty good in those type of events. So those 4 to me would be, because it used to be competitive. Now it's just the show, and you guys got gimmicks.
For me, though,
it's just
for me, you have to have Zach LaVine and Aaron Gordon. They have to be down there. And then if I have to pick guys that you've not picked, you can't say it when 2016 was the best dunk contest we've ever seen.
Okay, well, you know, okay, that's the best dunk contest you've seen. Then that's the best contest you've seen. I can't argue with that. I can't argue with that. If that's the best dunk contest you've seen,
yeah. What year was the best dunk contest you've ever seen? Like, I'm talking about contest, not best winning dunk. I'm talking about the actual contest.
I like it when guys compete. Jordan and Dominique, because there was a true competition. It's not like this guy does something, and I don't know, Mo. I grew up competing, like whatever you're doing, try to win.
I think Gordon and
That's what I
Levine
like.
did that. Gordon and Levine definitely did that.
Hey Mo, I have no argument. If that's the best one
Oh,
you've
oh,
seen, I agree with
and
that.
while we're on the topic, I got to give you guys an exclusive. Stay tuned because coming up very soon on the Hoop Genius podcast, an exclusive one-on-one interview from myself with Mr. Zach Levine. We did talk about the dunk contest, so make sure you subscribe now. But yeah, so I'm taking Zach Levine, Aaron Gordon, and then I've got to pick two guys. Obviously, Vince Carter's got to be there, but I can't pick guys you've already picked. So I like Nate Robinson was a special dunker because he was so unique with his height. And I think, you know, the dunk contest appeals to casual fans who don't really watch the NBA. That brought in a lot of people like, wow, who's this guy? And then who am I rounding out with? Because you've taken 4 of the all-time greatest dunkers to ever play.
I mean, that's what I'm saying. It was, I mean, if you said like Larry Nance, I mean, you're like, wow. I mean, David Thompson, like, wow. You know, guys like Terrence Stansbury and Larry Keenan. And I mean, there's been some incredible dunkers. You know what I mean?
I'm taking
Spud Webb, for instance.
I'm taking
like,
Gerald Green. I think Gerald Green is creative with it, very underrated. So I'm going to take Gerald Green. He's not in the same category as the 4 guys you picked, but I'm thinking just from the modern era of what we've seen in the past 10, 20 years.
Right.
What could we do, BJ,
you know, I remember,
to make the dunk contest exciting again? I'm not saying it's not exciting, but just, you know, to bring back that same passion that guys had for it before.
I mean, here's the thing, Mo. Like, okay, I don't know, but again, I'm you know, like today, Mo, I feel my age today because you're looking at things, you're going, okay. People say, well, what can we do? Well, here's what has to happen. The game itself is always driven by the creativity of the players who play. There's no more creative. There's nothing else to do. Like these guys, these players have, in my opinion, they've maximized their ability and how high they can jump. What else are you going to see? Like Ja Morant is doing dunks in the game that we normally would want to see in a dunk contest. Okay.
Yep.
Okay. All right. The creative, there's nothing else. You've seen guys do between the legs, around the head, jump over people, jump over cars. What other creative thing you want to see? You've seen the Superman act. You've seen a guy jump over a 7-footer. What more do you want to see? You've seen guys throw alley-oops with their feet. Steve Nash, I remember one year, Vince Carter dunked it with his elbow. The creativity of the game right now is kind of, it's stalled because of
one dunk,
where the game is at.
One dunk that I think went underrated was when Dwight Howard raised the rim to 12 foot. Now, if someone can raise the rim higher than 10 foot and still do one of these crazy dunks, I think that would be something special. I think dunks that get a lot of love now have kind of a special guest, like Aaron Gordon dunking over Taco Fall, maybe, or Hamidou Diallo won it dunking over Shaquille O'Neal. There's always that gimmick to it. I think, you know, there's other things. Cole Anthony tried to dunk in Timberlands, which was kind of disappointing.
I mean, that's what I'm saying. Like
someone should dunk in Crocs. I want to see someone dunk in a pair of Crocs.
Yeah, you don't want to get anyone get hurt, bro. You don't want to see that. Right?
I think that'll be okay.
You don't want to see someone jump. These guys jump and then they got to come down.
Yeah.
Crocs weren't made to be doing that, right?
Just when you hang on the rim just a little bit, you know.
Okay, all right, well, that's fine. However, the creativity that's necessary to play the game, to dunk, I don't think no longer exists. Just like the game is, it's just like, you know, it's kind of like things go in ebb and flows. Well, we're in a flow right now where there's no more creativity, right? Like when Jordan dunked, you were like, oh my God, what is that? Like,
yeah.
Okay, when Dominique was doing the windmill, you were like, what is that? Also,
like now, guys windmill during games, guys 360 during games. And what people want to see is posters, and you can't get that in a dunk contest. Okay. Poster dunks.
You want to see, you want to see something you haven't seen. Like when Dr. J, for the first time, dunked from the free throw line, you're like, what is that? You want to see something you haven't. Vince Carter gave us, what is that moment? Like,
okay, it's over.
Okay, now you need a hype man.
Yeah, well,
to distract you from what's really going on.
The evolution of it, like Zach LaVine did the free throw line dunk, but he windmilled the free throw line dunk. Or, you know, Aaron Gordon, he jumped over someone, but he sat down in the air and put the ball underneath his legs and dunked. Like, we've never seen that before. So there is still areas that I'm pretty sure they can explore. But there is one more part of All-Star Weekend that we need to discuss, and that is the celebrity game. BJ, I'm going to name
why aren't you playing in this, Mo?
Well, we need more subscribers to get me in the game. We need you guys listening to subscribe and share the show with your friends and get them to subscribe. And next year, hopefully, I can be considered celebrity enough to be in the game, because this year they said to me, Mo, you're not famous enough yet. But
all right.
What I want to do is I looked at this list and I think I recognized 8 of the names. So I'm going to go through this list of the people playing, and you're going to tell me who you recognize. So we've got Team Ryan versus Team Dwayne. Ryan Smith is Team Ryan, the Utah Jazz governor and honorary captain. And Dwayne Wade is obviously Dwayne Wade and the Utah Jazz minority owner and honorary captain. So on Team Ryan, we have Kane Brown, Corday, Diamond DeShields, Calvin Johnson, Marcus Mayon, The Miz, Albert Pujols, Everett Osborne, Ozuna, Guillermo Rodriguez, and Sinqua Walls. Excuse my pronunciation. How many of those names did you recognize?
About half of them.
Okay. And Team Dwayne, we have Dwayne Wade, Nicky Jam, Jessa, Simu Lee, Hassan Minaj, DK Metcalf, Janelle Monáe, Enrique Ogunbowale, 21 Savage, Ranveer Singh, Francis Tifau, and Alex Toussaint. How many of those did you recognize?
About half.
Who are you most excited to see balling out in this celebrity game?
I again, like,
not for basketball skills, but just for the entertainment. Because remember when Kevin Hart used to play, he was rubbish, but it was so entertaining.
Okay, listen. If it's entertaining and people enjoy it, great. I mean, you know, like when I see these things, like I've seen too many of these, Mo. I've been to, I bet you, Mo, I started going to all-star events here as a professional since the 80s. Okay. Well, that's a long time. Okay. Yeah. It's a long time to be, well, like at this stage, I'm not trying to be entertained anymore. Like, play the game, see the players, and then let's go home. Now, Kevin Hart it's pretty funny, but I mean, I honestly, when I watch those celebrity games, Mo, honestly, you want to know what I really think? And
Mo should be playing with you. Mo should be playing. Is what you think?
Okay, there's two things. One, Mo should be playing. It's just that no one gets hurt, because it always looks like someone. Yep. Mo, okay, you have to be in elite condition, Mo, to be playing. It's different than playing 3-on-3 or a non-regulation gym. These are regulation. This is a regulation court they're playing on. And, you know, your adrenaline is pumping. And I just always say a little private moment that no one gets hurt, because it looks like someone's going to really do something. Yeah. You know, it just doesn't, it doesn't look good. You know what I mean? I hate you know, like, Mo, you know, it's entertaining, but it's not funny. You know what I mean, Mo? You know what I'm saying?
I hear you. I want to see what 21 Savage can do. I want to see what 21 Savage can do.
Yeah.
That's going to be interesting.
So I just want people to be entertained, have fun, and no one gets hurt, because, well, it just doesn't look good to me all the time.
Well, speaking of being entertained, having fun, and no one getting hurt, there's one place you can do that every day, Monday till Friday, and that's the Hoop Genius podcast, brought to you by NBA 2K23. So make sure you subscribe to the show. If you're feeling generous, then you can give us a nice little 5-star rating on Spotify, or leave a nice review on the Apple Podcast Store. That'd be much appreciated. And share the show with your friends. Like BJ said, if you want to see me in the All-Star game, we've got to grow this show. We take it to a whole new level.
Please, Mo, I just want to say, please, ladies and gentlemen, Mo, what did we agree to? You got to get 30 points, right? Is it 30 points?
Yeah, 30 points.
Mo said he could get 30 points in a celebrity game. I don't think that's possible.
Who's guarding me?
Whatever we got to do, people, all of the listeners, please not even for the show, just for our own entertainment. This is for us. This is for us. Let's start now to get him, Mo, in the game. And then I will come to the game and give a live play-by-play.
We're gonna fly some listeners in too. I'm gonna fly some listeners.
Oh, yeah. We're gonna fly
listeners.
We're gonna get tickets. We have to do whatever we have to do, people, to get Mo in the game. Because Mo has said to me with confidence, not cocky, he was confident that he can get 30 in the game. Easy. And I said, I would love to see that.
Tell me who's guarding me, BJ. Tell me who's gonna guard me. Tell me. No one.
I don't know, Mo. I don't know who's gonna guard you, but I just want to see it. Bro. That will be very enjoyable for me at All-Star Weekend. And we should be able to get at least, some of our listeners over there to 100%, the game to see that.
100%. Well, if you want to see that, you know what to do. Share the show with your friends and make sure you all subscribe.
Oh.
And most importantly, do what I'm about to do and when I drop 30.
No, Mo. Most importantly, Mo, you better get buckets.
Oh, you know I will. I'll say it every day. I'm not worried.
Hey. I'm going on a campaign right now. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, let's do whatever we got to do right now to get Mo in the game. That's what we got to do. That's
fair.
Whatever we got to do.
That's fair.
Let's
do it. But whatever you guys do, make sure you get buckets.